Zeine, and welcome to Inner Voice Show. On this episode, we're going to talk about relationship, finances, and a whole lot more. So stay tuned. Hi, I'm Dr. Foojan Zeine. I'm a psychotherapist. I'm an author and an international speaker. I have hosted my own television show, Inner Voice, in a satellite program for 16 years. Whether it's premarital counseling or through their marriage, how to deal with children, and if they're going through a divorce, to teach them how to communicate better together. In actuality, I think my job is very important to work with individuals and the couples in order to make the most important relationship of their life healthy, which makes them healthy. On my Inner Voice show, I actually interview some of the prominent psychologists and entertainers in English. And I also speak to some of the psychotherapists who are Iranians and the artists who are Iranians. And I speak in Persian to the Persian population around the world, from Iran or Europe or Japan, Australia, all over the United States and Canada, because obviously I was born in Iran.
Where's Dr. Zeine? Dr. Zeine?
Hello.
You also have been trained in my specific methodology and techniques, correct?
Yes.
Are you willing to talk to her after this show?
Absolutely.
And tell her the step-by-step that she needs to do to deal with what I believe is an addictive personality?
Yes, absolutely. The family goes through a lot. For boys who are becoming girls, the fathers of the family suffer. They will keep being confused. They look at all the childhood pictures that they've took of their son, and now they look at somebody who's standing in front of them and supposed to be their daughter. Coming up, I'm going to be talking to a psychotherapist about awareness integration model. You really want to know what that is, huh? Coming up. Stay tuned. Hi. I'm Dr. Foojan Zeine, psychotherapist, and I'm here with Nasreen Bafordari, licensed marriage and family therapist. We're going to talk about awareness integration model, a psychological model that I have originated, and Nasreen Bafordari is one of the first therapists who has actually learned and has been utilizing it with her clients. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for inviting me. This is an honor.
Some of the major topics that I actually talk to my clients who are couples are first talking about sexuality. Many people don't know how to talk about sex. Concept of communication about it is something that I actually have to teach the couples in how to do. We talk about sexuality. Many people come into their sexuality in a very automatic way. We can go through the whole experience and wham, have a great time, but being with another human being, it actually takes skills. So becoming aware of every area of how we think, how we behave, how we feel, how we communicate with another human being in order to have an amazing sexuality is part of what we also teach in this AI model.
So much of our sexuality.
People don't talk about finances a lot. They don't have a system. They come from two backgrounds of how they actually have created their finances, and I have to help them create a system and have a great communication in how to follow the system. Another main topic is when they actually have children. Now remember, two people, two backgrounds, two cultures, two sets of values are coming in, and now they actually have to bring those together, and that's where they need how to communicate, be flexible, and really negotiate on one way of handling their kids. Duet, sometimes you guys are entering each other's space and singing together, and then solo. How does that experience for you?
The funny thing is,
in-laws, we have to deal with them. They're always there. They're going to be there. We didn't marry them, but they came with a package. So somehow we have to really, really work with them. And if I have to actually add one more topic that I've had to deal with a lot of couples and individuals is addiction. Whether it's an addiction to alcohol or drugs, pornography, cell phone, computers is one aspect that really, really affects the person's life and in their relationship. With people who are going through recovery from addiction, they've had some sort of a trauma in their childhood. And when we work with the awareness integration model with them, clearing the trauma the choice and the chance for them to relapsing is really minimized. I have been in the field of psychology for about 25 years. I started with seminars in ontology and psychology almost the same time. And I know you were part of the pilot study that we did, and in the result of that pilot study was that people were actually minimizing the depression 76%. They were minimizing anxiety 64%, and their self-esteem was rising about 43%. Now those are astonishing numbers.
You know, I wanted to go through it. I wanted to experience what my clients would experience. So I asked you to work on me as a model for the group that was being trained.
Hey everyone, thanks for watching. If you like what you see, you can see more on my website and my YouTube channel. And if you want to contact me, I'm on Facebook and Twitter. Bye-bye. Hello, I'm Dr. Foojan Zeine, and welcome to the Inner Voice Show. This is a show about you, about everything that you love in your life, especially your love life. I speak with experts in the area of psychology and in the area of relationship, and I'm so excited to have Arielle Ford with us, and she's going to talk about her new book. Let me tell you a little bit about Arielle before I have her on the show. So Arielle Ford has spent the past 25 years living and promoting consciousness throughout all forms of media. She's the author of the international bestseller, The SoulMate Secret, Manifest the Love of Your Life with the Law of Attraction. Her next book, Turn Your Mate into Your Soulmate, debuts December 29th. And offers women groundbreaking shifts in perception on how to transform their relationship, deeper, more loving, and more fulfilling lifetime love. Arielle has been called the Cupid of consciousness and the fairy godmother of love. She lives in La Jolla, California with her husband and soulmate, Brian Hilliard, and their feline friend. Her website, www.soulmatesecret.com, is where you can actually go and see her books and get to know about her more. Thank you so much for being on my show, Arielle.
Oh, you're welcome. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. It was just about, I think a month ago that I met you in New York. We were doing a video shoot for yourtango.com, and I was really excited to get to meet you and have your book and read your book, and I'm excited to share you with all of my audience.
Thank you. Yeah, New York was really fun. It was great to meet you, too.
Arielle, I know that you're not a therapist. However, you have been working with so many of therapists and people who have written books in the spiritual world, and you have been a guru beside them and learning from them. And in this book, you actually have a lot of excerpts from their work and your own experience, and have put all of this together into how to find your soulmate and how to create actually your relationship into a soulmate relationship. So tell me a little bit about when you say the word soulmate, because obviously it's a loaded word. Everybody has their own version of what soulmate is. What do you mean by soulmate?
I believe that a soulmate is first and foremost somebody that you can completely be yourself with, somebody that you feel emotionally and physically safe with, somebody that you share unconditional love with, and when you look into their eyes, you have the experience of being home. So that's my very broad term of what a soulmate is, and the thing I like to remind people of is that we all have many, 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 many potential possible soulmates in the world. But what we have to do is select a soulmate with whom we can have a lasting, long-term, deep and monogamous relationship with. And it goes way beyond just, a chemical attraction. There's lots more to it to making a relationship work, as I know you know.
So what I hear from you is that your children can be your soulmate. Your best friend can be your soulmate. There are a lot of people in the world who can be your soulmate, but the key factor is that there has to be that type of environment where you can be transparent and really feel comfortable in that transparency that you have. And sometimes when we have a best friend or our children, it might be easier or not to create that. But this book itself is about how to find your love soulmate, the one in an intimate relationship, and that's the one that you're basically talking about, right?
Well, no, you actually mixed two books together. So my book, The Soulmate Secret, Manifest the Love of Your Life with the Law of Attraction, is how to manifest and find your soulmate. And that's exclusively what that book's about. The new book, Turn Your Mate into Your Soulmate, is what do you do once you have the soulmate, how you make the relationship really work. And this came out of my own experience because I was a first-time bride at 44, and I manifested a magnificent soulmate, really a fantastic guy. But what I quickly discovered once I got married was that I had absolutely no partnership skills. I was really good at running a business and being the boss, but I was just a lousy wife. I was clueless on how to be a good partner. And that really set me out on my journey to become what I call a student of love. So Turn Your Mate into Your Soulmate is a compilation of all the different experts that I've interviewed. I do an online series called The Art of Love, where I've interviewed the world's top love experts over the last 5 years. And I actually road tested in my own marriage the best advice that I got from them, and then decided to, share what worked for me and what I've learned with the world.
You said the word manifested my soulmate. Can you say a little bit about what do you mean by manifesting, and what is it that is so hard for women to be able to manifest and create that type of a soulmate and a love and find that love?
Well, when I'm talking about manifesting, I'm talking about a metaphysical, spiritual technique where you co-create with the universe. So a lot of people live their life as if it's just luck or chance. And if they get lucky, love will find them. I know that's not true, that you can actually have power and say over the direction of your life and how things go. And it's a quite simple process, but it's not easy to master. And we probably don't have time to go into the steps of everything that you need to do, but just very briefly, you first need to believe in every cell of your body that not only is your soulmate out there, but they're also looking for you, that they do exist. And I also believe that everybody has many, many, many possible soulmates. We live in this culture that teaches us, oh, you only get one big love in a lifetime. And that simply isn't true. So manifesting a soulmate is about really getting clear about the heart traits and qualities you most desire in a mate. And a lot of people are often making a shopping list. Oh, I want a certain height and weight and income level and career path. And they're shopping as if they're looking for vegetables. And that's really not the way to approach a relationship. You're really looking for qualities. What kind of person do you want to spend your life with? How do you most want to feel when you're with this person? And what's your vision for the future of what your life together looks like? So you actually have lots of control over that. And it's important that you know yourself first, and you know what traits and qualities you most desire in a soulmate that will contribute to your long-term happiness.
It's so accurate when you say that. Most people, when I ask in my sessions with clients who are coming in, it's what is it that you want? And usually they give me 4 or 5 concepts that they want in their mate, and that's it. It's almost like that's all I want. I don't want much. And usually when they go into a relationship, then they'll find out about all of their expectation, everything that they ever wanted, but weren't really putting it on in that concept of looking for it. And something that you said, when I walked into a relationship, then I knew I didn't have the skills. I think that's a very key point that many people, although they want something from outside, they don't really know if they are capable and have the skills. And in your book, I know that you are talking about also skills. You talk about communication skills and how to not only find your mate, but after finding your mate, how to be in love and keep creating being in love. Can you say more about that?
Yeah, most people don't really understand that love is more than a feeling. So they're expecting, oh, I'm going to find my soulmate, I'll get married, and then sometime later, 6 to 18 months or 2 or 3 years later, suddenly they're not having these loving feelings. They're not having them every day like they thought they would. And so it's really important to know and understand that love is a behavior. Love is a choice. Love is a decision. And there will be days when you don't like your soulmate, and you're going to love them anyway, because that's the level of commitment and devotion that you made when you took vows. And in order to do that, you need to have skills, communication skills, compatibility skills, creative problem-solving skills, because as I know you know, Foojan, John Gottman's research has proven that every couple has at least 9 irreconcilable differences. These are things on which you will never agree. So you have to learn to love and respect your partner, learn to agree to disagree, and also learn how to come up with creative solutions for the differences that you do have.
You say living as if will get you love closer. What I get from that as I read it and as I see it in my practice and with myself, with my experiences, and with what you just said was, if I'm pissed off at something, if my expectation is not coming through, if at that moment, all that I'm looking at is negativity, my own and probably my mate, that if I'm looking at a manifesting of love and commitment and a concept of what I mean by having a soulmate relationship, then if I step into that living as if I'm in love again and I'm in that space, and that concept of living as if pulls me toward that, and then I can be in my commitment, and although I don't feel it yet all through and don't experience it completely, but that act of putting myself in that situation will ultimately bring back those emotions as I'm acting on it. That's what I get from it.
Okay, so let me clarify a few things. So when I talk about living as if, which is in the SoulMate Secret book, what I'm talking about there specifically is that your behavior follows your belief. So if you're a single person and your belief is, I don't deserve love, love will never find me, there's almost nothing you can do because it's your belief that becomes your love block. But if you're willing to choose to believe that I am deserving of love, that my soulmate already exists and he is looking for me, then your behavior and your actions would prove that out. So, for example, when I was working on manifesting my soulmate, I would often buy him birthday cards, anniversary cards, I love you just because cards, knowing that someday I would actually hand these cards to him. When somebody invited me to a formal event with an RSVP card, even though I wasn't dating anybody, I would always RSVP +1, knowing and trusting that my beloved would show up to escort me to the event. And if they didn't, I would just bring a friend. So that's the living as if component. When you're actually in the relationship and you're experiencing frustration or upset, my best recommendation is that you have what I call a spiritual toolkit, or you might call it an emotional toolkit, of ways to first be personally responsible for my own feelings, to let go of enough anger or disappointment and resentment so that I'm in a state where I can actually have a meaningful dialogue with my partner. And this requires that, you become an emotionally mature adult, that you're not always blaming and shaming your partner and pointing the finger, because what happens is our soulmate comes with the owner's manual on how to press all our buttons. And we act as if that's wrong, when in fact it's quite normal. The purpose of a deep, loving relationship is so that we can heal all our deepest wounds. And there's no better, safer, more loving place to heal your stuff than to be with a soulmate who totally gets you and accepts you for who you are. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. And based on what you were saying, I know that in one chapter in your book, you talk about the image, which you also got from imagotherapy, Harville Hendrix, and you talk about his experience, Dr. Harville Hendrix and his wife, that have created imagotherapy, about the person who is usually our soulmate. They have a lot of characters from our parents, and subconsciously we choose them, and we have that type of familiarity and energy with them, and they accept us and they can love us, but they also come with the other sides, which we probably got pushed by our family members, and by our parents, and they also have that, and they're in our life to also make us grow. And if we take that opportunity to grow, then that's where we're growing together, expanding together, while we're building more of our love together, right?
Absolutely. And I'm a very, very big fan of Harville Hendrix. And for those out there who may not know who he is, Oprah calls him the marriage whisperer. So he and his wife Helen have done extensive work for probably close to 40 years now on, what it really means to take sacred vows and what the real work of marriage is. And that, yes, while there will be difficult days, there'll be more good days than that, and when you're, really doing the deepest work, you reach the deepest levels of bliss.
You say in your book that before giving up in your marriage, there is a chance that you can actually turn that relationship and your mate in your world and in actuality into a soulmate relationship, and turning your mate into your soulmate. And there is a process to do that. And tell us a little bit about what the process is in going from a frustrating concept where you're trying to give up and you're like, I can't handle this anymore, and shifting yourself into a position where then you can act and then create the soulmate relationship that you desire.
Sure. Well, first I want to just put a little caveat here. So if you're in a relationship where there's abuse, addiction, or really bad behavior, this book is not going to help you. You need to go to Foojan or another professional and do deep couples counseling. Okay, this is not for abuse, addiction, or bad behavior. But if you have the ordinary frustrations and difficulties that come with sharing your life with another person, you can reignite and kickstart the love, assuming that the love was once there. If you've been married to somebody for 10 years and you never love them, there's no fix here. But if there was once a deep connection and love, and now you're not sure if it's there anymore, there are lots of things you can try. And the first one is really accepting the fact that difficulties in relationship are normal. A lot of times people just want to jump ship. They just think the grass is greener somewhere else. And the truth is, we all already know that 50% of first marriages end in divorce. But what most people don't know is that 64% of second and 73% of third marriages end in divorce. So before you give up on the person you think was once your soulmate, it really behooves you to put a little time and energy into fixing what you've got. And that means re-envisioning your mate. There's lots of fun ways to do that. One of the things to do is share the stories of how you first met. Call upon the memories of the things that you did together that felt so good. And if you're really adventurous, one way to really kickstart the brain chemistry of love and to remind yourself of love is to do something life-threatening together. So this might be bungee jumping or going on a roller coaster or a zip line or seeing a scary movie. Anything that you can do together that will have you have an adrenaline rush and put a little fear into you will trigger the brain chemistry of love and will bond you together. So that's one thing you can do. Another thing you can do is, in the Turn Your Mate into Your Soulmate book, is Dr. Aaron's 36 intimacy questions. And this was a study that he did years ago where he took two strangers, a man and a woman, had them sit down for 90 minutes and ask each other these 36 questions, and then end by staring into each other's eyes for 4 minutes. And quite often these two strangers would fall in love just by getting that intimate and that vulnerable with each other for 90 minutes. So if you're feeling out of sync with your mate, just say, hey, let's go on a picnic, or let's go outside and have a couple of glasses of wine and ask each other these questions. They're easy questions, they're fun questions, but that in itself could reignite love. So those are just a few suggestions.
Thank you. And something that came up for me as you were talking is that when I meet with couples who come in and they're really in a giving up position, it's interesting that many people don't realize how much they have lost the soulmate quality within them, that they're not even existing or living into that type of a love or the love vibration or being or feeling and experiencing it. And the way that they're coming across and communicating, whether it's verbally or non-verbally, that usually their frustration and blaming actions and attitude is up forward. One of the questions I usually ask is like, are you attractive right now, even to yourself? And you the only thing you're thinking is my mate is no longer attractive to me because of all the things he or she does. But really, are you attractive to yourself? The things you do when you are with your mate or when you're not with your mate, but the things that you are thinking about her or him, are those really the part of you that are really attractive? Are those the qualities that you call for yourself and say, I'm an amazing soulmate? Would you say that about yourself? And coming to that place of realizing and shifting from that and shifting the environment of what I want to create is also a good place to move from the frustration and anger to rekindling that love. Because if I'm going to create that ambience of love with my mate, I need to also be there.
Yes. Yes, that's excellent advice you're giving your couples. Really good advice. Because, there was a study done at the University of Buffalo a few years ago that looked at couples who consciously choose to wear rose-colored glasses in their relationship. And what they discovered was that these couples have longer, happier, more satisfying marriages. And the reason for this is because they're always looking for what's right instead of looking for what's wrong. And we human beings are like heat-seeking missiles looking for what's wrong and wanting to correct somebody and change somebody. And if we could just make the shift to, how could I acknowledge my partner today? Could I come up with 3 compliments that are authentic for me? 3 things that they're really doing right and really doing well. That tiny little shift could change everything if it became a daily habit.
You're absolutely right. That and looking for that concept, it would also put us into a position of looking at our best and who we are. There's a distinction about whether I look at my best and who I am, and then I get entitled about it, and then look at my mate, which is all bad and wrong, or looking at my best and looking at my mate's best. There's also the other side where sometimes people put their husbands or wives in such a great place, but then if they have a low self-esteem, they put themselves down, and then they get intimidated, and then they get frustrated and angry at their mate, and then they try to kind of like bring them down in order to bring them into the same space. And I don't know if you've ever experienced that with people that you have seen and interviewed with, but the point that I'm trying to make make is we can go to one extreme and have the steps to come back, as you said also in your book, to be responsible about who we are, be responsible about our own happiness. And when we do that, when we do the main work in ourselves and bringing ourselves into the space of a soulmate quality, that's when our action gets created into creating that environment. Say more about how to bring responsibility into creating our own happiness again.
Well, you know, let me just share a story with you that's in the book. It's about Barack and Michelle Obama. And regardless of your politics, whether you think he's a good president or not a good president, you could probably agree that he and Michelle have a soulmate connection and have a beautiful marriage, whether you like him or not. And what a lot of people don't know about the two of them is a dozen years ago, they nearly got divorced. Michelle had a really big corporate job and two little girls under the age of 3. Barack was starting off on his political career and was traveling a lot, not home very much. Michelle was feeling, you know, fat, unloved, unseen, unheard, and was very frustrated with him. And Barack had told his grandmother that he didn't think they were going to make it. And on top of all of that pressure, they were drowning in debt from their Ivy League law school careers. And one morning, Michelle woke up about 5 in the morning, and she realized she hadn't been to the gym in months, and she really wanted to go work out. But she was feeling a little bit like, well, you know, the girls are going to get up soon. I have to feed them breakfast. Who's going to take care of them? And as she rolled over and looked at Barack, she thought, you know, he was editor of Law Review. He'll figure out how to give them breakfast. And she slipped out of bed and went to the gym. And as she was working out, she had this epiphany as she was thinking about her life. And she realized that she had been waiting for Barack to make her happy. And she saw in that moment that she had to figure out how to make herself happy. And she figured it out pretty quickly, and she got off the Stairmaster machine and went home. And when she got home, Barack was at the kitchen table with the two little girls, and they were eating their cereal. And she made an announcement, and she said, as of right now, there are changes in the Obama household. She said, from now on, I'm going to take my mother up on her offer to help me out with the shopping and the babysitting and driving the girls. And Barack, from now on, every Thursday night is date night. Every night that you're in town, we're sitting down to dinner as a family at 6:30, and every Sunday is family day, no working. And from that day on, they've been really happy. They're now together, you know, for all these years, and it's because Michelle stopped waiting for someone else to make her happy. She became personally responsible for her own happiness.
Arielle, how do you make yourself happy?
You know, I have lots of ways to do it. I am naturally happy these days, and I sort of wake up happy, but I have a to-do list every day. And the number one item on my to-do list is pleasure. So every day I think of something new and different that is pleasurable for me. So it may be that I go and get a foot rub, or I may not have a lot of time, so I may go onto YouTube and find a music video of Andrea Bocelli singing The Prayer, or I may make myself a special treat, but I prioritize pleasure, you know, and then I have other things that I like to do. When I have an upset, like everybody else, I have my moments where I get thrown off balance. I have my spiritual toolbox of things that I do. I really like to use EFT tapping, or the Sedona method, or the Institute of Heart Mouse, Heart Lock-ins, or I'll go and take a bubble bath, or I'll take a walk to visit the dogs down the street at the surf shop. So I have lots of quick fixes that will bring me back to center and keep me on my happiness path.
As you were talking, I've taken Sedona methods, and I've been trained also in the EFT and tapping method. So yes, I mean, there's so many ways that people can allow themselves to release and shift and create that love for themselves. For me, I think I go into a gratitude place and start with looking around at everything that I'm grateful for, and that usually puts me into a very, very good mood, and a lot of the different little things that are there that are annoying me suddenly kind of vanish. and puts me into
Yeah.
a place of, wow, I'm so grateful to my health and everything else that's going around. And then it also gets me excited and motivated to get up and do things and create something that I can be more grateful. And sometimes it's just being content and, relax into the gratefulness of what is already. And part of that, as I hear from you, is also being in mode of the happiness, creating that also with our mate. And I would add just to be grateful for the mate that we have, because obviously also, as you also said in your book, that it's much more healthier to have a healthy marriage than to have a really unhealthy and abusive marriage, or even be single. It seems like all the studies state that you are much well off when you have a good, loving marriage.
Yeah, it's called the marriage effect, and there's been a lot of studies on it. And what it's proven is that when you're in a happy, satisfied, and content marriage, both parties live longer, heal faster, and are healthier. I mean, there's great benefits, and there's even more benefits for men. Happily married men live a minimum, often 7 years longer than single men. So for men out there that are commitment phobic, there's many good reasons to get married. And the interesting thing about the marriage effect is that it does not apply to those couples who are living together in a committed relationship but have not taken sacred vows. And the reason they don't get the benefits is that a part of our brain, and the brain that needs safety, which is our number one most important human concern is safety, knows that on some level your partner could leave at any time. So there's no marriage effect for those that are just cohabitating together. In order to get the marriage effect benefits, you need to be married.
You said that I found my soulmate, and I realized I didn't know how to be a partner.
Yes.
So tell me, now that you have realized, tell me what those are. What are those skills to be a partner?
I had run my own business and been alone, for 44 years. So I had no idea what it was like to be part of a team, to actually rely on somebody, to trust somebody else, to consult with somebody, and I guess my biggest fault was to actually take somebody else's wishes and desires into consideration, because it was always me. What did I want? What did I want to do? When did I want to do it? And I sort of jumped into this relationship with the false assumption that he would want whatever I would want. So it was a very steep learning curve for me. And fortunately, not only did I marry a very patient man, I married a man with a very big sports background for whom teamwork comes naturally. So, early on I realized that if I was going to be a better human being, I needed to be more like Brian and get some of those skills. And he would say that I've succeeded, that he's very happy with what I've morphed into after dedicating myself to a few years of study.
So when I hear about teamwork, what I'm hearing also is, in order to have a teamwork, we need to have smooth communication, because obviously the team members have to be able to coordinate together to create a particular result. So the type of communication that happens has to be smooth and understanding, and so there has to be appropriate ways of speaking, appropriate ways of listening. Other pieces of teamwork that comes to my mind is to actually talk about the goals that we have and align ourselves with what we want in life, and consistently reassess and realign with the things that we want in life. Can you say more about the teamwork that you have had to experience?
Well, we made a decision early on in our relationship that we would make the really big decisions based on not what did Arielle want or what did Brian want, but what would most serve the relationship. And that often made decision-making even easier, because when we looked at the bigger picture, what's going to serve the relationship, then often it wasn't a question. But sometimes we had to really get creative about different things. You know, like for a long time, we both loved to travel, and we traveled like crazy. And over the last few years, Brian has wanted to travel less and less. And, you know, and he's been very clear in his communication about it. He's like, I know I used to like to travel, but really, I just love to be home, and I'm very committed to watching every sunset from our balcony. So, you know, I'm up for 2 international trips a year with you, but if you want to do more than that, you'll have to find a friend to go with, you know? And I had to adapt to, oh, my travel buddy is sort of, you know, cutting back by a large percentage. But, you know, I respect him and I trust him, and he knows what's best for him. And so that's what we do. We just adapt. So I still have the travel bug in me, and I feel free to, you know, go when I need to go, and he's happy to stay home, and, you know, we'll Skype from wherever it is I am that he isn't. But, you know, so you just learn to adapt. But I think for me the most important thing was learning that respecting my partner's point of view, trusting his point of view, trusting his insights to some of the things I might not be seeing about myself. Over the years, I've really come to see what a gift that is. That, you know, I don't have to do it all alone. There's somebody who really has my back, who's my safe place to land, who truly only wants what's best for me, and that I can trust that.
That's beautiful. And also the concept of flexibility that you were saying. So to have the trust and then have the flexibility for my own self to be able to move and adapt through the times where we know we're not going to match at every single point, and how to adapt where I can be also happy and having my needs met while my partner also have their needs met. And for it not to be bad or wrong if our needs are not the same or they're not happening at the same time. And accepting, and as you said, the word trusting, that it's all good. It really is.
Yeah.
It's all good.
Yeah, no, it is. And, you know, and you need to expect that as, you know, we grow and age and change, the relationship will grow and get older and change. But the thing, I would say the most surprising thing about being with somebody for 18 years is that I honestly thought by this point I'd be bored, you know? And the truth is, Brian gets more interesting and more fascinating to me the longer I know him. Mm-hmm. I am so far from bored. He's just, you know, because he's a Gemini. He's always morphing and changing, and I can never predict what's going to come out of his mouth or what his exact point of view is going to be. I mean, there's certain things on which he's very, very consistent, but he still manages to surprise me. And even last night he was telling me, I was saying something, he goes, God, you're just so strange. And he goes, that's what I really love about you. You're just so strange. You know, so it's nice to be loved for our quirkiness and our weirdness.
That's true. Very true. One thing that I know is that you also have a 5-part video and a bonus that comes at made2soulmate.com. Can you say a little bit about what those videos are?
Yeah, so if you pre-order my book at made2soulmate.com, there's a whole bunch of bonuses and goodies, one of which is a 5-part video series. So I did an interview with Iyanla Van Sant on forgiveness. I did one with Gay and Katie Hendricks on You're Too Fat and how to have other hard conversations. I spoke with Dr. Laura Berman on how to affair-proof your relationship. I talked to sex researcher Dr. Pepper Schwartz on how sex can save your life and things like that. And then there's a free e-book called the Everything Book, which is a fill-in-the-blank book for couples to fill out an exchange so they know every little thing about each other, from, you know, favorite sex positions to favorite flowers to shoe size. So it's this really wonderful thing so that you don't have to remember everything about them. You can just look it up in the book. And then there's an audio interview with another sex expert named Dr. Ellen Etoff on how to reignite your sex life and how to ask for what you want. So there's lots of good stuff. You can just check it out, see if it's right for you. It's at made2soulmate.com.
Oh my God, I'm excited to go see all of them. That sounds so amazing. Yeah. So for the last word, what would you like to say to the audience?
You know, the one thing that I know for sure is that just like in the Western world, we have enough fresh air to breathe and enough clean water to drink, there's more than enough love for all of us in this world. And all we have to do is open our hearts and put a little intention and attention onto being more loving to ourselves and loving to those around us.
Thank you. That's amazing. If you would like, go to soulmatesecret.com to know more about Arielle, to get to know about all of her books. She's written 10 books. And you can also go to matetosoulmate.com and order her book. It's going to be out on December 29th, and get all those bonuses, videos, which I'm already excited to see every one of them and really learn from her. Thank you so much, Arielle, for accepting my invitation to come in on my show, and I hope that you keep doing it as you keep writing books.
Thank you so much. I really enjoyed speaking with you.
Same here. And thank you, everyone, for being with us. And until next week, create a wonderful life, day, time, and relationships for yourself. Bye-bye.